Hello everyone and welcome to one of my favorite games ever played in chess altogether. It's a game from the 1895 famous Hastings tournament between former world chess champion Wilhelm Steinitz, former being as he lost his clash to Lasker a year ago. Maybe not a full year, but it was in 1894, and this tournament here is in 1895, and he faces German journalist, chess master, and member of the German nobility, Curt von Bardeleben. And we've already covered this game, but we've covered it when I only started the channel, so it's a very old video. If you want to check it out and compare it to this one, I will put a link in the description below. It will be the first thing you're going to see. But I decided to redo it at 60 frames per second and add some more depth to it and some stories, and also to invite you guys to check out a nice article about this game. As it's very, very deeply well researched, but I will get to that. So let's just check it out, as it's quite the game, and then we're going to discuss what really happened, what we thought happened in the first time I made the video, and a lot of interesting stuff regarding this game. So let's check it out. Steinitz with the white pieces opens with e4, and although in some sources it says that this is the first game that was played in this tournament, rather in round 1, but in fact it was played in round 10. So e5. We have knight f3, knight to c6, and bishop to c4. Italian game is on the board. We have bishop to c5, the gioco piano, and now amazingly, even though this game was played in 1895, the Evans Gambit was not played here, but rather c3. Steinitz was a big fan of this line. So the main line of the gioco piano, knight f6, and now d4. And even though everywhere in chess literature, or really anywhere, this game is called the Battle of Hastings, but I still stick to my name that I've given it in the previous video. That is the bravest rook in chess history, and you will see why. So e captures on d4, we have c captures on d4, and bishop to b4 check. So this was a very, very often played line in those days. Knight to c3, and now d5. Knight captures on e4 leads to the famous Greco attack. And if any of you are new to chess, I will show the Greco attack, as it's something I've learned when I started learning about chess. So here you sacrifice a pawn, you castle, and then you allow black to capture this knight. And if your opponent doesn't know a lot of theory, or theory in general, he might go for something like captures, attack the rook, and to this you will go queen to b3. The Greco attack has many lines, but this is one of the more famous ones. You will sacrifice your rook and then go bishop captures on f7 with check. King goes to f8, or e7 doesn't really matter, because your next move is the same, bishop to g5. Now the queen is under attack, defended by the knight, so the queen has nowhere to go. You have to block with the knight, and now there is a game where knight captures on d4 was played. I mentioned this in my video where the small boy played a simultaneous exhibition game against Mikhail Chigorin, where Chigorin played a blindfold game, and he missed queen to a3 check, and then he really struggled, because without this move you don't really have a good move. But later the little boy explained the situation to him. Now here knight to e7 can be played, and then just rook to e1, and the game is over. Next the move, you're just going to capture this, and that's it for black. So black in this game, von Bardeleben, decided to avoid this line, and he played d5. Today it is known that knight captures is the best way to how would you put it, to refute the Greco attack, but it wasn't, a lot of theory wasn't known in those days. So basically, if you want to refute it after castling, don't capture this with the knight, but rather capture with the bishop, and only then play d5. Don't touch the c3 pawn, just d5. The game continues, and you will have a very nice game with black. Even in databases, after the white tried playing the Greco attack after knight captures, and then bishop captures and d5, black won more games than white in the database, and there are a lot of games in the database. So here d5 immediately without going for this capture, but this allows Steinitz some very nice play. E captures on d5, we have knight captures, and now he castles. And here was a good, or rather a great opportunity for Bardeleben to castle to safety. He could capture the knight here, captures and castle to safety. However, he played bishop to e6, added another defender to the knight here, but this is where his problems begin. We have bishop to g5 by Steinitz, going after the queen. bishop to e7, blocking this attack. And now Steinitz realizes that, well, Bardeleben's king is still in the center of the board, and a nice capture fest is in order in the center of the board. So he trades off everything. We have captures, 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 and of course captures and captures. And now all of this has been done. Rook to e1. And with this move, Steinitz makes sure that Bardeleben's king is stuck in the center, because if you castle, you just lose a knight here. So there's not much you can do here. Queen to e2 is coming, which will add more pressure. So f6, making sure you can castle artificially, maybe bring the rook into the game. And now queen to e2, threatening checkmate now. So queen to d7, defending, and now comes rook 8 to c1. I remember when I first read about this game in an old book. I don't remember which book it was. It was said in the book like today's modern masters would go rook to d1 like instantly, but Steinitz had a different idea. He played rook to c1, and yes, rook to d1 is the move the engines recommend here, not rook to c1, but if Steinitz played the best move recommended by the engine, we would not have this most amazing game. And here c6 was played. There is also another game that Steinitz played a year later where his opponent tried defending with rook to f8, and then Steinitz achieved an even greater victory, but we're gonna show that a bit later. So here's c6, and c6 comes with the idea, okay, you have a rook on the c file, I want to completely, you know, deny this rook's existence. I play c6, I also cover the d5 square, you're not playing d5, so I'm good here. Next move, I'm going to play king f7, bring the rook into the game, and that's it. I'm super happy. However, this only makes it that much easier for Steinitz to create this masterpiece. So feel free to pause the video here and make this brilliant move Steinitz played here while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding this beautiful pawn sacrifice. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's d5. Yes, that's a lot of announcing for a pawn push, but what a pawn push it is, because he just laughs in Black's face. He says, yes, this move didn't really do anything. You're going to capture and give me the c file either way, and I played d5 either way. So the two reasons why you played c6 are basically non-existent. So you capture here. Otherwise, you go king to f7, and then you allow d captures here, queen captures, and then you allow queen to c4 check, and then you pick up the c6 pawn. So you will lose material if you do something like this. So trying to keep the material balance intact, we have c captures on d5, and now knight to d4. Now this is beautiful. Steinitz not only achieves all of this activity for his rooks and queen, but also grabs the d4 outpost for his knight, and now also the knight is coming to e6, and that's a whole lot for the price of only one pawn. We have king to f7, now preparing to bring the rook into the game, and knight e6. And here, if the rook comes to c7, there's just not much you can look for here with black, so you have to prevent this. The problem with preventing it with knight to c6 is following: knight to c5. Now if queen moves, you eliminate the b7 pawn, and if you try to keep everything intact, queen c8, you also kind of want to keep an eye on the e6 square. Then comes queen h5 check, and now after g6 it's just queen captures on d5, and black's entire position just falls apart. King g7, knight e6 check is coming, and wherever you go, you're either getting checkmated or you will suffer severe material loss. For example, if you go here, then it's, well, not much you can look for here. And if you go here, you're just going, well, under the mask of the queen, and then just anything wins. Knight g5 check, you're going to go king g7, queen f7 check, you're going to go here. And now, again, knight e6, and the same ideas apply. Black will not survive this attack. So after knight to e6, here black played rook h to c8, saying, okay, you're not bringing your rook to c7, and I've developed my rook to the nice open c file. You have nothing here, but Steinitz definitely had something. He played queen to g4, now threatening, well, not only queen captures on g7, but rather knight here with check, which would pose a lot of problems for black. And black said, all right, I can actually defend the queen with king to d8, so I can play g6, prevent this queen captures on g7, and now we still play. But knight to g5 with check. And now if you're not careful, you're going to lose the queen, so you have to defend the queen. So king to e8, defending the queen. But now, once again, feel free to pause the video and win this game for white, and prove to everyone why I'm calling this game the way I'm calling it. So, for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting the bravest rook in chess history. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's Rook Captures on e7. And this is such an amazing move because you really have to figure out what happens after everything. I mean, of course, you can't really do whatever you want. If you capture with the queen, then you no longer have defense of the rook on c8. So the queen can never move away from this diagonal. So if queen captures, it's just captures, captures, and captures with check. The knight covers the f7 square, you're gonna have to block, and it's just knight against no pieces. It's completely winning for white. So instead, after rook captures on e7, we might discuss what happens after queen captures on e7. And this is the thing you really have to calculate. The point, sorry, not after queen captures, after king captures. And this is where the fun really starts. Here, I remember when I saw this the first time in books, I saw, okay, there's queen b4, but how do you work everything out? And this is how you work everything out. So queen to b4 with check, and now there are a lot of options, but none of them really work. For example, if you go king to d8, it's just queen to f8 check. This is covered by the rook, so you have to block with the queen. Knight to f7 check, and now there's nothing. King d7, queen to d6 is checkmate. On the other hand, after this queen to b4 check, you might go queen to d6 blocking this, but now comes queen captures on b7 with check. Queen d7 blocking, and now rook to e1 with check. King to d8, and now, or rather, you could go king to d6, also a possibility, but the white's move is the same. Knight f7 check, king to c5, or you can capture and give up the queen, so king c5, and now you're gonna go queen captures on d7, so losing that. And also, if you go king to d8, like we've said, also not much better. You're just gonna play knight to f7 check, and there's nothing you can do here. This is covered by the rook. The king has nowhere to go, so you'd have to capture it, and queen captures here. Again, you're gonna lose this game, of course. So what happens here after rook captures on e7, queen captures is a no-go, king captures is a no-go, so here king to f8. Bardeleben starts running away with his king. But now comes rook to f7 check. And again, it seems like black might be able to capture this, and then just after knight captures, let's say, deliver checkmate with rook captures on c1. However, it doesn't work because after captures, white doesn't go for the queen, but rather first grabs both of the rooks and then just trades down into the same endgame. We can show it if you've forgotten. There's nowhere for you to go. For example, you can block with the queen, captures, captures, and now just move the knight. Again, you have a completely winning endgame. So after rook to f7 check, black says, okay, there's nothing for you to do. Going back with the king ends in checkmate instantly, so that's again not a possibility. So here king to g8, but now this rook continues to boldly go where no rook has gone before, and rook to g7 check happily continues to check the black king. And again, you cannot move the queen, otherwise rook captures is always winning. Like we mentioned, the queen cannot move from this diagonal. So, or rather, if king captures, you've moved the king from the back rank, and now the queen gets captured with check. So black is not in time to deliver checkmate. So again, the queen cannot capture, the king cannot capture. The only move is king back. So king to h8. If you go here, then just knight captures with the same idea. King captures, queen captures. So king to h8, and now rook captures on h7 with check. And this is only move 25, and this is where the story of this game basically starts, because the way I've read it in old books was that when Curt von Bardeleben saw what was happening here, and he realized what was actually going to happen, that Steinitz is going to not only win this game, but most likely get like the biggest possible applause that was ever gotten in chess. You know, maybe I don't know, Frank James Marshall got an applause that big for his American Beauty, but all in all, it was said that Curt von Bardeleben left the table without resigning. He strolled out, and that a coin was turned that if you do this, then you pull a von Bardeleben, and that you just allow the time to run out, so you don't have to resign the game. And this is what I thought actually happened for a very long time, but I decided to now there's a lot more content online available. So I've searched the chesshistory.com website, and I found a very nice article by Edward Winter. and here I will link to it in the description below because it's very extensive. I would very much recommend for you to read it. But there is another side to this story with a lot of cited sources, because they have on their website like whole what happened by Soltis. There's also a part in Kasparov's book, in My Great Predecessors, about what happened in this game, and they all supported this story by Soltis. But there are also a lot of quotes, a lot of sources about this not actually happening. That what Bardeleben actually wanted to achieve was that he wanted to avoid his opponent getting the applause, but not for the reason they stated, but rather for the reason that Bardeleben did not want the applause to annoy the other players, because this was decided already prior to the tournament by the tournament committee, that applause shall no longer be tolerated, even though it was common practice, but that it annoyed the chess masters, and it was very long for some reason. Like, they didn't just applause and then that was it. They applauded for like a minute, or I don't know. A very long time, as they say. But like I said, I don't want to spoil too much, as a lot of research went into this article, so it will be like the second link in the description below. Do check it out, you will enjoy it. Now I will show you what actually happened. So Steinitz had to wait for the time to on the clock to run out, and he had this time to work out everything that can happen, and he worked out a forced checkmate in 10 moves. So we're gonna show it now, as it is quite the beauty. So what would happen here is that the queen still cannot capture because of the same captures and captures, so you would have to go back with the king G8, but now the rook follows the king to G7, rook to G7 check, and the rook still cannot be captured. And the thing is, if king to F8 now, then knight to H7 check forces the king to go back. If king to E8, then just queen captures is checkmate, so you'd have to capture it, and now queen captures, queen is with check, so black is no longer in time to deliver checkmate, and you will just pick up all the material and win. So what you will have to do after this check is go back to H8, but then comes the mating sequence Steinitz had in mind. Queen to H4 check, king captures on G7, queen to H7 check, king to F8, queen to H8 check, king to E7, queen to G7 check now, and now of course if king to D6, just queen captures on F6 with check, so king has to go back, king to E8, queen to G8 check now, king to E7, and queen to F7 check. And now after king to D8, we reach the exact same position that we've had if king to D8 if king to D8 was played in that position all that time ago. But as it didn't, the rook had to do all of this journey and be extremely brave. So now you could achieve queen to F8 check. There is no move for the black king, so queen has to block, and now knight F7 check, king to D7, and queen to D6 with checkmate. So this is what would happen if Curt von Bardeleben had continued the game. There would be an applause, of course, even though I guess they asked the viewers not to give applause, as it will be very distracting. I mean, you could imagine in today's setting that, you know, if, I don't know, Carlsen wins the game and the people applaud, you know, the other players will be like, hey, come on, you know, you're messing with our concentration, don't do that. But in those days, it was, I guess, common practice. So here, again, I do hope you enjoyed this game, and really do check out the article by Edward Winter on the website chesshistory.com. There are a lot of interesting stories regarding this match, or like they also mentioned that in the Hastings Chess Club where this game was played, the chairs that they used to sit on this game are still there, and people still use them. So that's a, you know, fine piece of information. And also I will show you the standings after the end of this tournament, because this is a legendary tournament. It was won by Harry Nelson Pillsbury, followed by Mikhail Chigorin, Emmanuel Lasker in third, Zygmunt Tarasch, and then Wilhelm Steinitz. So Steinitz won 5th place, even though he was already a former world champion. But as you can see, Curt von Bardeleben isn't all that far behind. So after Steinitz, there's Schiffers and Bardeleben, and some very famous names after Bardeleben. So Bardeleben was actually a really, really strong player. And he was not leading the tournament, but he was doing extremely well. Like, he was, I think, second behind. He was second behind Tarasch or Chigorin. I think Chigorin. Yeah, Chigorin was leading. He was second, and then after this game, he had a terrible streak, and he didn't really do all that well for the rest of the tournament. Whereas for Steinitz, I found this incredible also story on the chess history website, so do check it out, full of incredible stories, and I will read it as it's just super amazing. So it's from the article Some Chess Celebrities Whom I Have Met by Rhoda A. Bowles on pages 23-27 of the Yearbook of Chess 1907 by E.A. Mitchell. So it's called Steinitz in Tears, and it's really awesome as it talks about what happened prior to this game. So it says, among my earliest chess recollections, I recall a pathetic scene at Hastings during the 1895 Congress. I had just arrived from London, and on the stairs leading to the hall of play I met poor Steinitz, who upon seeing me burst into tears and said, "Oh, Madame Bowles, what shall I do? I have just lost my game to Lasker, and that is my 4th successive loss. I shall never win again. Even my own pupil, young Pillsbury, has beaten me, and I cannot sleep at night. For 3 nights I have tossed and tumbled, but sleep is denied me. I am utterly broken down." And he wept. I felt a big lump in my throat, but I tried to cheer him, and begged him to come home and to go to bed, even if he could not sleep. He thanked me, but went away with a sad heart. Promising, however, to take my advice, I was up bedtimes. Sorry, I don't know this word. I was up bedtimes the next morning. Okay, weird. And when he entered the hall, I was waiting with a buttonhole, which I pinned in his coat, telling him that I had come to turn his luck and should expect him to win that day. The change in his look was startling. From a haggard expression, he developed an eager look of desire for his opponent. This proved to be Bardeleben, against whom he worked up one of the most beautiful games of the age, sorry about that. One of the most beautiful games of the age, and on the 25th move, I think it was, he beckoned me to his table and said, "Thank you, you have indeed changed my luck, and I declare mate in 10 moves." So not only did he show this to viewers, but also to Madame Bowles, and he indeed won the Brilliancy Prize for it. So as it stated here, and to an admiring crowd, he demonstrated the mate and afterwards received the prize of the Congress for it, which is the Brilliancy Prize. The first Brilliancy Prize, as there were more of them. As being the most brilliant game played. Poor Steinitz, he always regretted that I had not come 4 days earlier. One of his idiosyncrasies was a strong objection to his opponent's striking matches during the play. He declared that each strike broke the train of his thoughts and in consequence lost him much time in reforming his plans. But okay, this later part is not in much regard to this game. But just wanted to share that, and this is only a fraction of the goodies that you will have available on this link, so do check it out. Second link in the description below. Really a lot of stuff regarding the history of this match. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it, and my, well, sort of an improved version, as we've already covered this game, but I just wanted to show it again in 60 frames per second and a bit more history behind it, so I do hope you enjoyed that as well. I would like to thank Ivan Sterling, David Compton, A Fine Jewel, Robert Kretschmar, and Carl Didur for contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Morphy saga, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day, and do check out our chess manga if you still haven't. Will be the 3rd link in the description below. See you soon.